What is up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man, and I am here with something like new, like something just to spice up the channel a little bit. Now, just a quick FYI, just a few days ago, it was our 1 year anniversary of me doing this. I'm glad that I'm still putting up channels for about a year now. It's moving a little slow, but hey, it's best to move slow and steady than at a fast pace where you can't keep up. So anyway, I was thinking about my childhood and how unique I always thought of the cartoons as a kid. And I just thought to myself, how about we thoroughly express how we thought of these cartoon characters and shows and make a YouTube video out of it. I just thought, I'll give it a shot if it turns out well. So I'm calling this new series, now there's two options. There's either say goodbye to your childhood or sorry about your childhood. I don't know, I'll have to choose. Maybe you guys could choose for me in the comment section down below. But hey, speaking of the comment sections down below, how about you guys go ahead and throw me a couple of options of what cartoon character would you like me to ruin for you? And I'll do my best to make a story about that character. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about this. I hope everyone enjoys the video, and hope you all have a nice day. Enjoy. For those who were born in the 90s, you may be familiar with the famous cartoon series known as Animaniacs. This show featured a variety of characters. The main focus of the show featured three very unique animals. Most people would mistake them for dogs or probably lab mice. Their names were Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. Two Warner brothers and one Warner sister. Putting them aside, there were many favorite characters that kept the show running, such as Skippy and Slappy, Buttons and Mindy, and the most famous two peas in a pod of all time, Pinky and the Brain. All of which were great characters, but there was one pair that I felt like didn't get enough recognition / screen time, which was the funny yet talented Rita the singing cat and Runt that may be stupid, but he's the kind of dog that everyone would love to have. Their sole purpose for this dog and cat duo was that they would help each other find a home after escaping the pound. The two would travel the world desperately trying to find a home, as Rita would sing a song about her surroundings, and Runt would always be there to get her out of trouble. Their last episode before the show was canceled was them accidentally landing in Nebraska. Runt was loving the corn field while Rita was not very interested. Not quite how I was hoping that their show and adventure would end. So, as a kid, I made this ending for them. Now this may be just a little bit of a parody from an original episode, but I made a little twist to it. And I've called it Rita and Runt's Last Adventure. Hope you all enjoy. In Paris, France of 1990, Runt was falsely accused of stealing a bone. The dogs of Paris, France gave him the name Runt Val Runt. While his time in the pound, Rita was put in a little pen next to a bakery. And in those times, Runt would deeply miss Rita, and Rita would deeply miss Runt. The pound keepers decided that it was time for Runt Val Runt to be put down. And so they did this. They took Runt to a private room where dogs would go in, but some would never come out, at least not without a body bag. Runt would try to fight the pound keepers to prevent them from taking him into that room, but Runt could not fight them back. They strapped him down onto a metal table. It was cold and it was uncomfortable. Runt was scared. He was afraid about what was going to happen next and what was going to happen to Rita if he didn't get out of there. Minutes felt like hours, and in those times, Runt has been trying to chew his way out of the restraints to escape. But during his attempts, he was stopped when a man wearing a surgical mask, glasses, and a white coat that nearly dragged behind him entered the room with a suitcase in hand. He speaks. "So, you must be the infamous Runt. Well, I must say, I thought that you would be a Rottweiler. Well, I digress." He walks over to a desk, and then he puts the suitcase down and opens it with care. Inside was a needle and a tube of euthanasia. The doctor then extracted the serum into the needle, and he gave the needle tip a few flicks with his finger, and he walks over to Runt. Just the simple footsteps of the man's boots tapping the ground underneath them is putting Runt into a shake of fear. The doctor reaches Runt, and he leans closer towards Runt while resting one arm on the table and says, "Do you want to know what the best part about this job is? I can kill you in many different ways, but I prefer to do this with all dogs that need to be put down like you. You see, in this needle is a thing called euthanasia. With this, all of the organs in your body will be shut down slowly. Now, normally, pounds would put the dog to sleep before injecting them with this. Not me, though. I enjoy watching the dog's life just drain from their mortal coil as I stare into their eyes and watch them die. It's gotten so addictive over the years that I have even started recording their deaths, and I would spend hours just watching them over and over and over again. And now, you will be a special number of mine. I have had 99 kills. You will be number 100. Runt then started shaking every part of his being to get away from this doctor and out of the restraints. But the doctor held Runt's paw down where he wasn't able to fight, and he injected Runt with a little bit, just a little bit, of that serum. He then said, now, shh, it's all going to be okay. It'll all be over soon. You'll have about an hour until you die, so you may as well just relax while you still can. Now, I will get the camera." The doctor walks over and he pulls out some camera equipment, and dragging behind him were cords, a very dangerous tripping hazard. He would plug in the camera and he would put it on the tripod. But before he did that, he sat the needle that still had euthanasia in it. The needle then rolled off of the table, and it landed next to a bag with the needle sticking upwards. So, the doctor turns around, and he sees that Runt is looking dead. He's not moving at all. He's limpless. He takes a closer look at Runt. He feels around for signs of life. Oh, did I kill him a little too soon? Might have been a little bit of too much euthanasia. He does one more search. He brings his ear closer to Runt. Closer and closer, looking for air. Wait, not looking, listening for air, excuse me. At first he hears nothing. But then, Runt then jumped up towards the man and dug his teeth into the man's jugular. Runt held on to this doctor so tightly that he was not going to let him go. The doctor then screamed, banging the table and stomping the ground out of agony. This dog had gotten the best of him, made him look like a fool. It got so desperate at one point that he actually started punching on Runt to let him go. The pain would be too much for Runt to bear that he actually would let him go. The doctor would stumble back a few times, but getting his feet caught in the wires of the camera, he tripped and landing on the needle, sticking him in the back of his neck, injecting him with the rest of the euthanasia. Runt would start desperately chewing at his restraints and would actually manage to free himself. When the doctor feels the sting in the back of his neck, he removes the needle and he realizes the horrifying discovery. Oh no. He starts losing control of his breathing. He curls up into a ball and into the corner, and soon, in just a matter of a few minutes, he succumbed to the injections. Runt managed to escape from the restraints. He then quickly ran out the door that was still cracked open enough for him to open the rest of the way himself, and then he ran out the door. He kept running and running and running until he was far away from that hell house. When he was a good distance away, he felt the drugs taking their effect on him. Every breath that he took, it felt like his lungs were being razorly cut with a straight razor. Runt knew that he was dying. He knew that he didn't have much time left, and he was thinking about taking his own life before the drugs take him. But then he remembers Rita, his best friend. Rita, I'm coming to rescue you. Runt then limped the rest of the way, desperately trying to remember where he last saw Rita. Just at the outskirts of a town, there was a building that looked like a rundown bakery. Inside was a baker. He was reading over different recipes, like he was on the verge of getting his restaurant shut down if he did not pay the mortgage or property taxes. But his food was so bad that nobody would pay money to eat that. He reads over books and trying to figure out a way to make some sort of new recipe or something new to save his restaurant. Oh, no, it's useless. I don't even have any meat for my meat pies. There's absolutely no way that I will be able to come up with something to save me. Suddenly, he hears a meow just on the left of him. He looks over. It was a house cat that had black and gray stripes. I do suppose that perhaps little kitty cats could be a great meat substance for my meat pies. He picks up a blade and he walks over to the cat. Outside, in the pen where Rita has been sitting for 3 months, awaiting for Runt to come and get her, the rest of the cats have been giving Rita a hard time because they insinuate that Rita thinks that they are better than them, when really, Rita just wants to get as far away from this place as possible with Runt next to her. She looked up to the sky and saw a shooting star. It was a little rainy, but the clouds were just lifting. She looked up and said, "Starlight, star bright, I wish I was anywhere but here." She then closed her eyes and began to fantasize about a home with her next to a fireplace and Runt just next to her. Suddenly, her fantasies were interrupted when she heard someone from outside the pen say, "Psst, Rita." Rita looked around, wondering where did that noise come from? Who said that? "Who are you?" said Rita. Runt then walked out from behind a tree and said, "It's me. I found you." Rita would be happy that Runt is finally here, and Runt would weakly shake his tail, and he would limp towards the cage. Rita would see this and says, "Runt, what's wrong with you?" "Oh, it's nothing. I just hurt myself trying to get here. Anyway, let me try and get you out of there." Runt would feel sorry that he was lying to Rita. He did not want her to worry, but he had to get her out of there. He would try, but the only thing that he could think of was possibly digging their way out of there, like digging underneath the pen, because it doesn't go all the way into the ground, but it's just a little too deep for Runt to do it alone, and he knows that he doesn't have much time left. And so he says, "Rita, look, I need to go and get some help, okay? But wait, Runt, can't you just dig a little longer?" No, I can't. I can't do this by myself. I gotta go get help. I'll be right back, okay? Just remain calm, okay? Oh, okay, Runt, but please hurry. We gotta get out of here." Runt would leave, and when he's a good distance away, he feels extreme weakness all over his body, and he falls to the ground. When he's a good distance away, he notices that Rita did not see him. It felt like his lungs had stopped working for him for a second until he was able to breathe again. I must hurry. Runt would then go into town, and he would find a group of poodles that would be willing to help him, but they would only agree to help him if Runt promised them that he would give them bread and wine. Now remember, this is a kid show, so literally dogs can have anything they want in this. Runt obliges, saying that he promises to give them that if they help him rescue his friend. So, back at the pen, Runt shows up and they all start digging underneath the pen, trying to create a sort of hole for the cats to escape through. When they reached the other side, Runt purposely went into the pen to make the hole, or he didn't do anything to make the hole bigger, to make sure it was big enough for not just him to get through, but for all the other cats that were a little overweight. So anyway, all the cats would get out, and it would just be Rita and Runt left in that kennel. Unfortunately for them, the baker was ready to do what he planned to get the meat. He opened the door with a rifle in hand. When he looked around, he saw that most of the cats were gone, but there was just one cat left, and one dog that had a bounty on his head. Well, if it isn't the infamous Runtval Runt. You know, there is currently a bounty on your head, for dead or alive. And you know what? I already got my rifle right here, and I'm a little behind on paying some stuff, so why not death? The baker aims his rifle at Runt. He shoots, but he barely missed him. It only managed to give Runt a bad flesh wound on his back leg. The two would scatter around the room, and Rita would jump up to the Baker's face and start clawing and scratching at him. And while he was distracted, Runt would actually run over to assist Rita, and he would start gnawing and biting at his hand. Blood would begin to spill from the man's face and his fingers as Runt began to gnaw down, dislocating his fingers and breaking some finger bones here and there. When the two thinks that the baker has had enough, they stopped. And when they looked back, they saw that this man was badly bloody, and Rita had scratched one of his eyes deeply, like that eye was useless. The baker just laid there on the ground, just breathing heavily. The two then rushed out the door that the baker went through, and they joined the group of the cats and the dogs. Their celebration was temporary because a certain dog from the pound came to hunt down Runt, a Rottweiler named Camembert. Runt, thou Runt, you will not escape me. You will go back to the pound for your crimes against Paris, France. All the dogs would gather around Runt, thou Runt and Camembert, wanting to see them in combat. Even the cats stuck around to watch. Rita, who wanted to actually help Runt in this fight, could not, for the cats held her back, not wanting her to disturb the fight that was about to ensue. The two dogs, Camembert and Runt, stared at each other intensely as they walked into a circle. Runt was ready for the fight, but unfortunately the drugs hit him again. This time, his heart. He felt his heart had stopped for a second, but before he even had the chance to regain his composure, Camembert started attacking Runt, biting him on the side of his neck, leaving a wound. Runt would pant from the pain, and he would retaliate, returning a bite back to Camembert, but this time he landed a bite just above his snout. The two would jolt at each other, snarling, growling, biting at each other. It was turning into a bloodbath, and after a minute, said again, after just 1 minute, things just got bad. Though Runt did damage to Camembert, he gave him a few scratches and bruises and a few teeth marks here and there. Camembert bruised one of Runt's eyes, and he tore off one of Runt's ears, so he basically Mike Tyson'd his ass. As the two backed away from each other to gain their breath, Runt would say, "I didn't steal that bone. Why do I have to pay for a crime that you committed? You are the one that stole that bone, and yet I had to spend 3 months in that hell for a crime that you committed. So tell me, why do I have to face justice that isn't needed from me?" Camembert did not answer. He just got more and more angrier, and he started exposing his teeth. And without even warning, he then jumped at Runt Val Runt again, but this time he grabbed him by the back of his neck, making him completely immobilized, unable to move or fight back. And then, with all his strength, he then spinned around in a circle, and then he threw Runt's body to the front door of the baker's shop. "I've won," said Camembert. He basked in his glory as he defeated Runt Val Runt, but really, who's really the Runt Val Runt here? Anyway, as all the dogs are cheering for his victory, the door then slams open, pushing Runt out of the way, revealing the baker, who had a face that was just horribly disfigured, and he had his hand bandaged up. He looks around with his one good eye, and he looks for, They all look the same, but with his one good eye, he thinks that he's looking at Runt Val Runt. He then cocks his gun, and then he aims it with his bad hand, and then with his other hand that's still functional, he pulls the trigger and he shoots Camembert in the chest, thinking that was Runt Val Runt. Ugh. The dogs watched as Camembert bleeds out on the ground. They then slowly turn their heads to the baker and look at him with deadly intent. They all then slowly started walking towards him with their jaws twitching and them exposing their teeth. They all then began to lunge at the baker, and they would start tearing him apart. Runt, who was still alive, laying on the ground, was accompanied by Rita. Runt, oh my God, Runt, are you okay? Runt, barely even having enough strength to even lift his head up, says, "Yeah, I'm fine, Rita." Rita then helped Runts up, but with a lot of great struggle. After the poodles were done with the baker, he laid there dead in a pool of his own blood. And the poodles then said, "All right, we did your job, so where can we get our bread and wine?" Runt then pointed to the nearest town with all its lights, and he said, "You'll find it over there." They all ran, including the cats that they helped rescue. Even Rita was running with them. But she looked around and saw that Runt wasn't with her. She stopped, looking back, and she sees that Runt was still standing there. She then tilted her head, saying, "What?" She runs back to Runt, and she says, "Runt, what's the matter?" "Rita, I can't go." What? What are you talking about? What do you mean you can't go? Why can't you go? "Because my time is now." Runt falls over, and Rita barely even caught him and breaking his fall with her knees. She then, tilts over him and says, "Runt, wait, Runt, what's wrong with you?" Runt starts to tear up, and he says, "I'm sorry, Rita. I'm so sorry. Sorry, what are you sorry for?" "My injections. They gave me injections." Runt shows her the spot where he got injected from with the euthanasia. Rita has seen this sort of thing before, and she says, No, not you, Runt, not you. Come on, Runt, come on, get up. We got a home to find. We gotta go find a bed. We gotta go find a place to eat. We're gonna go find a home. Come on, please, come with me. Runt, whose voice was getting weaker by the second, says, "I am going home, Rita." Runt, please, don't leave me. Please, I need you. I need you. Please don't leave me. Please don't. Runt interrupts Rita, saying, "Rita, will you sing me a song?" Rita starts to weep uncontrollably. Her tears hit Runt in the chest. But Runt, not hearing Rita's voice, says, "Rita, are you still there?" "Yes, Runt, I'm still here. I'll sing for you." Rita then begins to sing a song that says that home is not a place where you go to eat or where you go to sleep. Home is a place where you're surrounded by people that love and that care about you. And as her song comes to an end, Runts' eyes slowly close. He is at peace, knowing that his best friend is going to be okay. He looks to the sky, and with his last breath, Runt dies, leaving Rita completely alone. Rita then begins to weep even more, but what she doesn't know is that right behind her, 3 poodles were approaching. They slowly creep up on Rita as she is barely having enough time to even mourn the loss of her best friend / possible love interest. One of the poodles say, "Hey there, furball. Where could we get our bread and wine in particular?" He wasn't specific. Rita then wipes her nose and she says, "There is no bread and wine." "What?" said one of the poodles. "This better be a joke. That dead bastard right there said that we could get bread and wine, and we want it right now. Where is it?" Rita then clenches her cartoonishly shaped fists, and she stands up, and she flexes her claws, and she slashes at one of the poodles that were right behind her, like scarring his eyes. Rita stands there in a position of fight, ready for a battle that she's willing to lose. The poodle that she scratched slowly looked back towards Rita and said, "You're gonna regret that, you little bitch." They all start lunging at Rita, grabbing her by each limb that she had and basically tearing her apart. Like they were playing tug of war with her body. And Rita screamed out in agony from the pain. It hurt so much, but not as much as it hurt to lose somebody that she once cared about. As the dogs get tired of tearing her apart, the dog that she scratched or scarred at this point picks her up with his mouth, and he shakes her around a few times like a dog playing with a new chew toy. And just as he's getting dizzy from throwing his head left to right, he then lets go of Rita as he swings his head upwards, sending her flying. And then having gravity pull her back down to the ground, landing next to a deceased runt. "Come on, boys. Let's just get out of here." They walk away, leaving a dying Rita behind. Rita, using the last bit of her strength left in one arm, slowly crawls towards Runt and then grabs him by the paw, and she says, "Runt, we're going home." Rita then turns her attention to the sky. As her vision slowly begins to fade to black, her eyelids then close, and she dies. And that is where it ends. Yep, that is how I pictured it as a kid. Like, yeah, call me whatever you want. Weirdo, because I actually thought those kind of things. But hey, this is how I like to express myself this way. Expect myself? No, I said express. Anyway, I can already tell that not a lot of people enjoyed this, but if at least you made it to this part of this video, consider yourselves #blessed, and I hope that everyone has a nice day. Before I cut this completely, why don't y'all go ahead And remember, comment a cartoon from the 90s that y'all want me to ruin for you. And I hope everyone has a nice day. Goodbye.